Growing up playing soccer since the age of 3 has shaped me 100% into the person that I am today. And I first have to give so much gratitude to my parents for introducing the sport to me and pushing me to build so much commitment, build so much dedication, to put 110% into that sport from the age of 3 up until basically 18, right? And of course, as I gradually got older, I got better and more focused and more precise in the way I showed up in the sport. And it became, as if you will, my first form of meditation, my first form of transformation that has shaped Remington Langston Rodney into the man that he is today. And for those listening, remember that Manchester United is by far the best club in the world. I'm sorry out there to you City, Arsenal, Chelsea, Barcelona fans. United is the best. We always will be. RIP, Sir Alex Ferguson. We miss you. But we're now in the era of Sir Michael Carrick, baby. Let's go, Carrick ball. Some big signings for us as well. But we're not here to talk about United. We're here to talk about transformation. We're here to talk about just our past and how that shapes us into the human beings that we are today. And for my fellow footballers, my fellow athletes that are listening to this right now, I'm sure you guys can relate to how your sport and how your involvement in whether it's a team or individual sport has shaped you to become the human you are today. Um, I think for a lot of us footballers too, I think like one of that instant uh, metaphors or connection points that we can create is with community, right? Specifically playing soccer, whether it's or basketball, track and field, football, you are a part of a camaraderie. You are part of a movement. You're part of something so much bigger than yourself. See, we see the individuals that try to make it all about I. There's no I in team, right? It's about us. It's about we. How do we collaborate? How do we move forward as a collective to get to this shared common goal? And I feel like now more than ever, though, that community is the heartbeat of humanity, especially in this age of AI where so many more things are being outsourced, or we think, or being shown from social media, things are being outsourced. Communities, everything. And I feel so grateful at such a young age. I was introduced to the sport. I remember my parents coming back from Europe. My dad had a blue full United kit for me, and I immediately was just like was hooked to United. The Ryan Giggs days, the Wayne Rooney days, of course Ronaldo, Paul Scholes, and Antonio Valencia. Like I feel like growing up, building that obsession to something was extremely healthy because that segued into me building my obsession with personal development, transformation, relationships, travel, and being able to be in a point now in my life where rather than it being all in on this sport, becoming a pro, because that was my dream for most of my life, it's now putting 100% into becoming the best human that I can possibly be. And I feel like that is such a huge synergistic point for athletes is it's every single day you're waking up, you're training, you're feeding your body, you're fueling yourself, you're surrounding yourself with the right people to become the best athlete. So then game time comes, you're performing at peak performance, you're in flow state. And yeah, it's such a huge character build, you know? I feel so blessed that that's a part of my life. And comment below if you played a sport as well, what sport you played and how that made an impact in your life. I'm really curious to hear how that shaped the man or woman that you are today. And shout out to our parents, right? For, if you had your parents are involved or a guardian or friend, whatever it may be, that got you to practice every single day, got you fed, made sure you were on schedule, on routine, especially in your adolescence, teenage years when you don't have that autonomy to do so on your own. Those are the real MVPs that gave us the the life of that structure of community, of camaraderie. And I also have to give a huge shout out to my teammates. Like I started playing club. I don't know the exact age, but maybe like 8, 9, 10, playing at a pretty high level. At that time, I feel like I only really had the speed. I didn't have the control. I didn't have necessarily the technical ability that I later on developed when I was in high school and the end of middle school. But the guys I played with in club, we played for a team called Freedom FC, and then that eventually merged into GNA, Gahanna New Albany. And the guys I grew up playing with, come high school, we'd already known each other's play style from such a young age where our senior year, junior year, we were able to fucking dominate on the pitch. And that was huge to see, like, over time how those relationships evolved on and off the pitch, right? And how those personalities and dynamics continued to grow. And I feel like for most of my life, my closest friends have been people that I played soccer with, whether they were at my high school or they weren't at my high school. It was just so easy to build that bond and that connection. And I think a lot of my interpersonal skills were developed in those days. We would travel to tournaments, we would spend weekends together, we would spend Tuesday, Thursdays, after school together. Like most of our time outside of school, when you're playing at a very competitive level, it's in practice, it's in the games. It's not a normal childhood that some kids might have if they're not as committed to sports, where they might be hanging out, they might be doing other types of different extracurriculars, band, choir. I don't know what the hell kids are doing these days, but for us it was, how do I optimize my body, my sleep, my energy to perform at the best I can? Because there was a level of pressure. For me, and especially in the United States, soccer is a very inaccessible sport as far as getting training, getting looked at by scouts, playing against people that are also at a super high level, right? So that you can progress as a player. And so I feel like, again, shout out to my mom and dad for investing so much time, money, and energy into amazing programs that eventually led me to playing with the Columbus Crew Pre-Academy. And that was an extremely high level. And I sometimes got to practice with the academy team. And that was such a blessing, to see some of those guys like Emeka Anili, Sebastian Berhalter playing for Team USA, Emeka playing in the MLS. Like, those were kids that were in my same age range that continued stuck with the sport and are now getting to play pro, and I always look back on that chapter too as such special memories, because like I said, like, I wanted to go pro. The dream was always to go play in Europe, overseas. I actually had an opportunity to go to an international school that was a soccer academy in the UK. And I don't really remember what fizzled out. I think a lot changed for me after my senior season. Once soccer ended, I didn't continue club. A lot of my friends, and I'm sure a lot of us, our senior year, you're already into college. Here comes the drinking, here comes the partying, here comes smoking weed, whatever it may be. A lot of distractions that took me away from my true love for the game, for the art of soccer, for the art of football, right? And I think that's what we're kind of missing in this World Cup, which is kind of depressing and sad. And I was talking to a member of the Oasis Global community today about that, of just how sad the World Cup has been, to see how the politics and the commercialization is actually taking away from the game. There's no reason that Argentina should have made it past the round of 32. I said it, that's my opinion, don't give a fuck. We all know it's true. And there's just been a lot of unfortunate situations. It's been fun to watch. I've been able to build new relationships and get to experience new cultures. Like, the fans for Norway and Vietnam were off the chain. They were amazing. I picked the worst possible night to wear my Brazil jersey, but hey, I made some friends out of it, which was cool. But just going back to this concept of community, and then I'm also going to tie in leadership as well. our senior year, we were stacked. And I feel very fortunate. My freshman year, I played on JV, but I still got called up maybe 75% of the games to varsity. Only got to play in one of those games, but I got called up in my freshman year. They were stacked. They were stacked, bro. They were so talented. Such an amazing team. But I had the honor to be a part of varsity, sitting on their bench, getting to be a part of that atmosphere and that energy, which then sophomore year to senior year, I was starting basically every single game. What started out as an outside back, defender, winger, outside back, winger position. I've always been extremely pacey and just a leader on the field. If you played with me in Vietnam or Bali or here in Columbus, you know that I communicate and I try to communicate in a very positive way with my teammates. Of course, the sport gets the best of you. Sometimes that anger, that rage comes out, but for the most part, I try to lift up my team. And so my senior year, I was awarded with number 10, which traditionally in football is kind of like the guy on the team, the leader, maybe not the best player, but just that like number 10 has always like been that representation of, I don't know, I don't want to ego max here because it was never about me, but just a leader on the pitch is probably the best way I can explain that. And then I was voted captain by my team as well my senior year. And, we went to the regional semis. We ended up losing 3-2 we were up 2 at halftime, lost 3-2. It was a heartbreaker, but that bond, that brotherhood, that camaraderie that we had 11 seniors on our team, all grew up together, except for one player, Storm. He was from the Netherlands, absolute beast. Dude probably had like 15, 20 goals. Like, we were stacked. We were absolutely stacked. And that year, I actually wanted to play striker that year. Ended up playing center back. Had so much pace. Was amazing defensively. And I led our team to our conference championship, district championship. I was OCC Player of the Year, which is our conference, District Player of the Year, and I was All-State, second team. So I was a part of the top, basically 20 players in Ohio back in 2017, which was such a huge honor to me. And I really put in the work. But it was truly an honor to lead our team. And I feel like that's when I really started to see some of my skills and gifts come to light during that season of my life, to support my peers, to help develop talent, to guide us in the right direction, to keep the team calm, composed, focused on, once again, that common goal. And just me having the skill of playing the sport for so long has now allowed me to build community anywhere I go. Like, from being an adult here in Columbus, I now, being back, get to play with people from all over the world multiple times a week, get invited to play. And then in Vietnam and Bali, we're playing 3-4 times a week. And in Vietnam specifically, that was my primary community outside of my men's group, was dudes from Russia, the UK, US, Morocco, Algeria, Chile, Egypt, right? Guys from all over the world, also in their adulthood, entrepreneurs, creators, but all have a love and a passion for the game. And I feel like that's just the beauty of football. It's a global sport. It's the world's game. And there's something about it because it's like chess. It's like chess. You don't see, there's nowhere near as much dopamine as basketball, as football, as hockey. It's a very methodical sport that takes precision. And I'm not saying these other sports don't either, but there's just this energy, this presence that you have to have on the field, where every touch, every tackle, every decision you make can either prevent or be the deciding factor for someone scoring. So yeah, I feel really honored to have played this sport continue to play the sport. And yeah, I think just in general, it's really shaped the man I am today as the founder of Oasis Global, the one-on-one coaching that I've done, because, right, everything is catered towards performance, right? And so even applying this to the past year with the one-on-one coaching work I did with the Reset Protocol, it's like the thing about the best athletes, right? And I love Kobe Bryant, I love Ronaldo, I love their mindset. Conor McGregor, I love the mindset. And a lot of what these guys talk about too is just as much as you practice and play, you need just as much time to recover. And recovery for me now as an entrepreneur is the wellness side of the house. It's the introspection, it's the meditation, it's the mindfulness, it's the community time. Those are the pillars of recovery that allow us to continue progressing, that allow us to continue showing up for our dream, for our passion, for our mission. And it's the same thing in sports, right? If you don't get good enough sleep, if you're not doing the ice baths afterwards, if you're not doing the stretching and the yoga after performing, you're not going to be able to perform as well in your next showcase. So it's essential to build those habits, to have the support around you to continue going, to continue showing up for that goal that you have. And I feel like that's been such a huge just metaphor for me in life, especially in this chapter, returning to the U.S. from Asia. And again, that aspect of community, it's a team sport. It's a team sport. So how do you pull out the best out of everyone that you're around? How do you surround yourself with the best to produce the best? Yeah. I mean, don't know how resonant this concept has been for other people, but this was what was top of mind today. And just excited to continue sharing my perspective, my journey, and how soccer and football has intertwined with my growth and my transformation. So as always, I really appreciate you guys tuning in and supporting my journey, my perspective. And yeah, I wanted to end this with a quote from Inward by Young Pueblo. This is one of my favorite books. It's one of those books where you can literally just open a page and you feel like it's the universe talking to you. So maybe there's something in here that I'll open up to that you needed to hear. So here we go. We carry our attachments and pain in our bodies. As we let them go, our bodies change. I've always been a firm believer that we all carry darkness, this gunk in our body. And when we remove that gunk, we create space for newness. We create space for magic. We create space for transformation. So this could have been a call to action for you to continue doing the inner work, to continue looking under the hood and understanding and getting to know yourself. And you're never alone on this journey. Again, my name is Remington Rodney. I'm the founder and CEO of Oasis Global, the future of community and transformation. We launch in 2 days. We've already got a community of 5 men that are ready to take a radical ownership for their life, and 5 more slots as well. If you are looking for a community of support, of transformation, of growth, of brotherhood, below I have a link if you want to book a call with me to learn more and step deeper into your purpose. I love you guys. Thanks for tuning in. Peace.